think it should be recording now. Yep. All right, I'll start off with the first question then. What was it like being on the Face the Shape contest?
That was seriously one of the most surreal moments of my entire life as a lifelong Halloween fan and someone who wants to go into a career in TV and film. It was just what I would consider one of the best days of my life. Just getting to shoot that, getting to see how they make a film, getting killed by Michael Myers. I mean, that's all cool and stuff, but like Jamie Lee Curtis was also there, so that was like one of the coolest things that has ever happened to me. So like getting to say, I performed in front of Jamie Lee Curtis is kind of like it's kind of like the coolest thing ever to me.
Yeah.
It might not be to somebody else, but as a lifelong Halloween fan, it's just like, yeah, that's my thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, definitely. What are some of your favorite horror movies?
Well, obviously the Halloween franchise is my favorite of all time, and my favorite film of all time is the original Halloween. But besides that, I would also like to credit the original Exorcist, Insidious, the Babadook, Friday the 13th. Just those films I look to, and they inspire me, and they also push me to want to follow the career path into TV and film.
Yeah, that's awesome. What made you make the 78 slasher fan film?
The 7/8 slasher. So I remember sitting, when I went and saw Halloween Kills for the first time, seeing the flashback scenes, and being kind of blown away by the fact that they captured that aesthetic and that vibe so perfectly. I was like, dude, I want to do that. I want to make my own 70s, vibey kind of Halloween fan film. And that's kind of how the 78 slasher came to be. And me and my co-writer Owen Simcox got together, and we were like, we want this to feel like it was shot in the 70s, but we also want it to feel like it was written for a modern audience. So that's how the 78 slasher kind of came to be.
Yep. That's great. What was it like on set of Face the Shape contest?
Oh, dude, it was so surreal. Everyone there was so kind. Everyone was so down to earth. And I'm going to give a special shout out to the director, Stephen Reedy. He was such a good director. He really knew how to get a good performance out of his actors, and he was just so eager to get down and dirty with the crew and stuff. And that's something you could really admire. There's a lot of people from that set that I still talk to today, like my stunt double, the guy who played Michael Myers, Jamie Avera. Just it felt so close niche. Even though we worked together for one day, I mean we would consider each other pretty good friends, is what I'd say.
Yeah. Have you always wanted to do like direct films?
Yes. And it's not so much wanting to direct, it's just kind of being involved in film in general.
Yeah.
So like whether it be acting, screenwriting, or directing, I mean, my passion is there. I wanna, I love how films make me feel. And if I can make somebody feel that way about a project, that's what kind of drives me to either direct, screenwrite, or even act. I mean, it's all kind of just the simple fact that I love to storytell. That's what makes me want to dive into this career.
Yeah. Uh, what did you think of the music score that John Carpenter did for the David Gordon Green trilogy?
Oh, dude, it's absolutely unbelievable, unbelievable. I'm in love with it, and it was something I was a little nervous about. I'm not gonna lie, because um, you hear John Carpenter's coming back, and you're like, how he can be sometimes. Like he tends to phone some things in, and this time he didn't. He gave us three incredible soundtracks, which I own all three of them on vinyl, and I listen to them quite often, if I'm being honest. Um, they captured the essence of Halloween. They have the dark synth wave that he's so known for. but still adding a modern touch and modernizing, these classic scores. You have the shape stocks turned into Ray's Goodbye, and I thought that that update was much needed, and it adds a lot to the film itself, and it made me kind of realize you gotta have a John Carpenter score if you're gonna do a Halloween film, because half of the viewing pleasure is listening to his music.
Yep. You were on set of Stranger Things, is that right?
Correct. Yes.
How was that?
It was super cool. Just kind of, and it wasn't anything too crazy. I did stand-in, photo doubling, and extra work for them throughout of season 4. And that was a really cool experience to kind of see how big Netflix productions go on to make their films. And I got to meet some really cool people. So I got to meet Millie Bobby Brown, Joe Keery, and I got to watch them kind of how they, hone in on the craft of acting. And it's very different, where Joe Keery can just kind of snap into, Steve Harrington whenever he wants. I noticed that Sadie Sink needs a few minutes to, turn into Max, and just seeing how all of that kind of all came together with such ease. And I mean, it's obviously a super successful show. And, going back and then watching this scene that, I was involved in, that's a really cool experience on its own. But being there and seeing, the Duffer Brothers do their thing, and seeing them actually shoot a scene, I wish I could share that experience with everyone. It's so unique, and it's so like eye-opening, and you see how much hard work goes into it from the crew and the cast, and it's really impressive to watch.
Yeah, those shoots go for like, I think it's months and months and months too. So
Yeah, and they're
yeah,
super long days.
yeah.
Super long days.
What celebrity would you like to work with in the future?
One celebrity I'd really like to work with. That's a good question. I would really, really like to work with one of my favorite actors of all time. I don't know if you're familiar with The Walking Dead.
Uh, I've heard of it, yeah, but I haven't actually seen it myself.
That's okay. So there's this actor on there. His name is David Morrissey, and he plays one of the villains in the earlier seasons. And I just think he is such a phenomenal actor. And I actually take a lot of inspiration from him and his performances. And if I ever got the chance to work with somebody, I would love to choose him.
Yeah, that's awesome. How old were you when you first watched your first like horror movie?
Oh, dude. Okay, so my first horror ever was Halloween.
Yeah.
And I think if I had to guess, I mean, I was young. I was probably 6 or 7 the first time I watched it. And I remember being so scared of what I was seeing on the screen. But obviously, it got ingrained into my memory. So, you go back and you watch it, as you get older, and you're like, oh, it's not that bad. And then that's what I think kind of sparked the fascination with Michael Myers and Halloween. And then with that comes the really cool behind the scenes things, like, it was an indie film, one of the most successful indie films. And then it's just like, there's so much to learn from that film alone, and I think that's why I truly fell in love with horror movies.
Yeah. Is there anything you'd like to promote at all? Like any new
Any
projects?
any new projects? I have 2 screenplays that I've been working on with a really close friend of mine, and it's kind of making its way to some producers. So we'll see what happens. And if it doesn't really work out, we'll start crowdfunding for them. But as of right now, I don't think I'm quite allowed to say the names of the scripts. But if people want to look out for stuff on my social media, you feel free to link it to the description, and I would appreciate any type of support. You know that.
Yep, I definitely. That's all the questions I named. I can't even think of any. Yeah, it's all of them I named.
Great, great. Well, if you ever need me to come back and do this again at some point in time, I'd be happy to.
Yep.
I just adore your content. I love your posts, man.
Cheers for
Keep
that.
doing what you're doing, man. It's
Cheers for that.
you're doing a good thing. Doing a good thing.
You too, of course.
Thank you, thank you. All right, well, I can't wait to see this. Just keep me updated on it, and if you need me to come back, if you have any more questions, like in the future that you want to add to this episode.